Um, lemon cakes. I give this guy 2, personally.
I concur.
Yeah.
Tempting here.
Yeah. Aenys.
What about you, Greg? How many lemon cakes?
Oh, it's around there, two and 2/4 maybe. But
Okay.
He had to deal with the inevitable, like, oh, good, the Great King's dead. Let's get our shit back.
Yeah.
And I'd say he did it as best as he could, but he still didn't do a particularly good job of anything really.
He seems not to have been particularly well prepared. He might have been well prepared, but you would have thought that like Aegon would have been really grooming him, and that doesn't seem to have happened.
Well, like, I'm confused. Not confused. I mean, I understand that it always goes to the son, but like, do you think there was any talk of it passing to Visenya because she's the living queen? Well, I would rather go to the queen. I mean, this is our first succession, really, but and we know that she was a driving force behind a lot of things. But it seems like there was no question it was going to go to the next generation, not the same.
I like the way you think.
I mean, because there's not many monarchs in history that were married to their sisters that ruled successfully, but this guy did. So.
No, but I guess the Targaryens knew. I mean, I'm assuming this is Targaryen tradition, that it just does proceed through the line of children, not wedded siblings.
It's really hard to tell because there were freeholds, and I don't know.
Well, Aegon is the heir, not Visenya, and she's older than he is, so.
Maybe it's just the whole, conforming to the standards of Westeros thing. You don't really know how procession worked in Valyria, really.
We don't even really know what their what it was.
Political composition, yeah.
I'm just going to dispute that and say I think it was similar, because otherwise, I mean, you've had brothers and sisters married plenty of times. This must have come up, No,
I know that, but like, we don't know. Did Valyria have a king, or did they have consuls?
No, it was a freehold, so it was ruled by every landowner or every large landowner in Valyria. So whoever had land in or around Valyria got to have a say in.
Yeah, but was there there must have been someone had to be leader, at least in name, right?
I don't know. It doesn't say that. It just says it's like a parliament, of sorts.
Yeah, it's left intentionally like that. I'm sure.
I feel like if there had been like a Valyrian emperor or whatever, we probably would have heard about it. But anyway, so Aenys becomes king at 30. He makes himself a new crown, which nobody's interested in except me. But note that he's not his paternity is questioned because Rhaenys had some fun with singers and the like, and he was not the warrior that Aegon was, or that his brother Maegor was, so people kind of questioned that, but then he grew up and I guess got acceptably awesome, so they stopped talking about that. He is a little bit of a predecessor of Rhaegar's in terms of, like, he's described as a dreamer and an alchemist, although we don't know if he had any, like, actual dreams of the Targaryen sort. His rule goes to shit almost immediately, with several attempted rebellions. Among them, a guy called Harren the Red, a guy called the Vulture of Dorne, who, again, the Dornish are distinctly unimpressed by, and Jonas Arryn, who unfortunately kills the Lord, who became the Lord after he was the prince. First major occurrence of Maegor. He's the one who kind of settles things in the Vale. Meanwhile, the Greyjoys take the opportunity to, like, take care of their own little rebellion thing. And in return, like, he gives Aenys gives them a boon, and they're like, "Great, we're kicking the Fates out of the Iron Islands," and Aenys can't do anything about it, and they've never been back. Also involved in this is a guy named Savage Sam Tarley, who I thought was worth noting because, yeah. As a reward for Maegor's brave service in the Vale, he is made hand, which turns out to be just an amazingly terrible idea. Aenys marries Alyssa Velaryon. They have children, most of whom are later killed one way or another by Maegor. And then, after all of the rebellions are settled, problems with the faith come to the fore. These mostly happen because of Maegor. Visenya basically suggests that Maegor should marry his niece and Aenys' daughter, Rhaena. But that is too incestuous for the High Septon, and he's like, no way. So instead, Maegor marries a Hightower lady, who is the first of many unfortunate wives of Maegor's, which we'll talk more about later. So instead he marries a Hightower lady, but she doesn't give him any kids, which we're pretty much aware is Maegor's fault. But he secretly marries a Harroway, so he is now a polygamist. And Visenya actually performs this marriage. Visenya, becomes a different person once, between Aegon and Maegor's reigns, she kind of transforms. It's interesting.
That's what, do you think she actually did transform, or she was just always held in check by Aegon? I
don't know. I mean, it's not, I feel like if she was really, this, bloodthirsty and whatever, she could have taken out Aenys a long time ago. Rhaenys has been out of the picture for years, Aegon, once Aegon dies, what's stopping her from kind of making this move earlier,
So I think, her ultimate goal was to get her son on the Iron Throne, which she really reminds me of Livia, who was, the mother of several Roman emperors and is considered, the great poisoner, and she got rid of every single person who was going to be in her kid's way. And that's kind of what she does here, but I don't know if that's, hindsight looking back at how things work out, but the second we got that line where it said the Dowager Queen took over his care, and it was like, he had poison, and then the next sentence was poison died 3 days later. So I saw that coming. But it's even the Maester goes out of his way to say this could have happened, but he doesn't want to say 100% that that's what happened.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying in terms of what was holding her back beforehand?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Could go either way for sure.
She's definitely interesting, and if nothing else, I like that we get at least 2 dimensions rather than 1 dimension that we had before.
Yeah. So Maegor is then exiled to Pentos, where stuff gets even worse.
I have to say, this is the only point where I feel mildly bad for Maegor. He's got his
Maegor
awful,
apologist.
just this one iota at this one moment, but he's got his sort of imperious mother to deal with, and then his awful brother. I don't know, and then he's exiled.
Well, I mean, he's exiled because he became a polygamist.
Well, that's sort of part of the course for the Targaryens.
Yeah,
it's not
she's
exactly
a polygamist.
his fault.
This is true. So we also get a little sidebar from Archmaester Gildane, who, if you listen to the audiobook, is sounds very interested about the fact that polygamy and incest and stuff is not cool in Westeros. And it's yeah, we got that, thanks. But then Aenys does something amazingly stupid, incredibly, just dull, and he really has not been paying attention to anything that's been going on in the past 10 years, and he marries his son Aegon to his daughter Rhaena, and then the High Septon is no.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the years are a little bit confusing at this point. During Maegor, we get kind of more year by year, but this is a little more loose. But now everyone hates Aenys, which is ironic because according to the Maester, all Aenys ever wanted was to be loved. which is too bad. The poor fellows are really upset, and they try to kill the Targaryens, and that is pay attention to those guys. And this is kind of the downfall of Aenys. He goes back to Dragonstone because he just can't take it in King's Landing anymore, where Visenya also is. But he was sick before he went to Dragonstone, right? He was not made sick at Dragonstone, correct? Yeah.
Well, it seemed like he was being weighed down by everything that was happening, but I don't know if he was actually ill or he was. They say like he looked like a man that was more 60 than 30, but I don't know if that's just like the stuff he had weighing on his shoulders. But it's definitely once he got to Dragonstone. Yeah, but once he got to Dragonstone, it went downhill very fast from there.
Yeah. So he got worse, and then he got better once Visenya took over his care, allegedly. And then he finds out that his son and daughter, who again are stupidly married to each other, are like in really bad straits in a lot of danger, and he just basically ups and dies. So that is Aenys, the 2 lemon cake king. Greg, who is he? Tell us.
Well, I don't know if he's Tiberius or Caligula because Tiberius did some pretty bad stuff, but then he was overshadowed by Caligula, and it's kind of what happens here, where whatever bad shit that Aenys did completely gets washed away by Maegor coming on the scene. So I'll say he's closely to Tiberius, but just because like his mother reminds me of Livia, who was Tiberius's mom, that basically poisoned, her husband and poisoned basically her son and stepsons to get her son on to become emperor. And that's my theory.
Well, Caligula was the really bad one, right? Like he did tons of bad stuff.
Yeah, but Tiberius, he learned everything he did from Tiberius, but it's just because the propaganda of the time, and I mean, I'm not saying Caligula wasn't bad, but it was the tipping point where the people were like, enough of this shit, and then Claudius came on and did quite a good job. I'm a fan of Claudius.
Even though he's a fool?
Yes, but it was all part of his plan.